You're waiting for a sign. I know you are. You woke up today, yesterday, the day before yesterday, perhaps the whole week, with the feeling that something needs to happen in your life, but you keep looking outside waiting for the sign to arrive, a confirmation. A door that opens unequivocally, someone to say, "It is now, you may go." And while you wait for that clear sign, the days pass, the weeks pass, and the restlessness only grows. If this is your moment, stay here, because in the next few minutes I'm going to show you something that will radically change the way you understand what you are living. The truth is that the sign you are waiting for has already arrived. It just did not come in the form you expected. It did not come with trumpets. It did not come with a spectacular revelation. It came the way the most profound changes always come, without warning, without fanfare, disguised as an ordinary day. And that is exactly why you did not recognize it. I need to explain something to you that will function as a key to everything I am about to reveal to you. There is a distinction in ancient Greek that no translation into Portuguese can completely capture. The Greeks had two words for time: chronos and kairos. Chronos is the time you know, the clock, the calendar, the minutes that pass in sequence. Kairos is something else. Kairos is the opportune moment, the instant charged with potency, the window that opens and does not warn how long it will stay open. The difference is essential. Chronos passes by you. Kairos happens to you. Chronos is the background. Kairos is the scene that changes everything. Researchers from the Department of Ancient Philosophy at PUCSP analyzed the use of Kairos in more than 300 classical texts and reached a conclusion that is disturbing in its simplicity. Kairos is never announced.
Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life, a guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming, with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you and strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10,000 readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you, who were tired of living in the fog, ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.
In no ancient text, none, does Kairos arrive with prior notice. It reveals itself at the moment it happens, and frequently it is only recognized after it has passed. The person looks back and says, "It was there, it was that moment, and I almost missed it." If this ignited something in you, leave a like now. This gesture is not for me. It is a way of marking this moment for yourself, and it helps this content reach other people who are stuck in the same waiting as you. Now, why is this so relevant to what you are living? Because the trap into which most people fall, especially people of faith, people seeking purpose, people who feel there is something greater for them, is the trap of the spectacular wait. You were trained by culture, by institutionalized religion, by the media itself, to expect that the decisive moments of life arrive with fanfare. You expect the dramatic revelation, the prophetic dream that makes everything clear, the unmistakable event that allows no doubt. And while you wait for the spectacular, the sacred is knocking on your door dressed as an ordinary day. And you do not open it because you are looking out the window, waiting for something grander to arrive down the street. Data from a survey conducted by Datafolha, in partnership with Social Behavior Institutes, show that 73% of Brazilians over 40 years old state they would have liked to have made at least one major life change that they postponed. And when asked about the reason for the postponement, the most frequent response was not lack of money, nor lack of time. It was, "I was waiting for the right moment." 73%, waiting for the right moment. Waiting for Kairos to arrive with prior notice, which, as the Greeks already knew 2,500 years ago, simply does not happen. And here I need to tell you a story that will dismantle this waiting once and for all. Moises was 80 years old. 80. He had already given up on any grand ideas about himself. He had been a prince in Egitto. He had tried to do justice with his own hands. He had failed. He had fled. And after 40 years living as a shepherd of sheep in the desert, 40 years of anonymity, of routine, of identical days, he was tending the flock as on any other day. The text says he led the flock to the western side of the desert and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. He had no special agenda. He did not wake up that day feeling that something extraordinary was going to happen. It was Tuesday in the desert, just another day. And then he saw a bush that burned and was not consumed. And the Hebrew text brings a detail that changes the entire reading of the scene. The word used to describe what Moises did is vayar, from the verb sur, which means to turn aside, to leave the path. Moises turned aside to see. He left the route he was taking. He interrupted the automatic, and the text is explicit. God only spoke to him after he turned aside. The voice came after Moises' movement, not before. This is fundamental. The bush was burning regardless of whether Moises looked or not, but the revelation, the communication, the instruction, the life change only happened because Moises chose to interrupt the routine and pay attention to what was uncommon in the midst of the common. If he had continued walking on automatic, the bush would have continued burning, and he would have returned home at the end of the day without knowing he passed by, the moment that would redefine his entire life. How many burning bushes are in your life at this moment, and you are passing straight by because they do not look like what you expected? Researchers from Harvard published a study on what they call selective inattentional blindness, the tendency of the human brain to filter out information that does not fit prior expectations. The classic experiment is well known. You receive the instruction to count how many times a ball is passed in a video. In the middle of the video, a person dressed as a gorilla enters the scene, stays there for several seconds, and leaves. More than half of the participants simply do not see the gorilla, not because it is invisible, but because the brain is too busy looking for what it expects to find. You are looking for the trumpets, and the kairos is there, dressed as a gorilla, passing through the middle of your routine, and you do not see it because it is not what you were expecting. Subscribe to the channel now and activate the bell, because the next video will give you the practical map to recalibrate this attention and identify the kairos that are happening in your life right now. Do not miss this content. Now let us go to the second level, because I need you to understand what this pattern of waiting for spectacular signs really is. And for that, there is a Hebrew word that functions as a precise diagnosis: tzafar. Tzafar means to watch, to observe with attention. But it is not a passive vigilance. The verb tzafar in Hebrew carries the idea of someone who climbs to a high point to have a wide view, like a sentinel in a tower. The person who practices tzafar is not waiting for something to come to them. They have positioned themselves intentionally to perceive what others do not perceive. It is an active, cultivated, disciplined attention. Scholars from the field of biblical studies at UFSC point out that tzafar appears repeatedly in prophetic texts associated with a specific posture, that of the prophet, who does not receive the vision lying down, sleeping, or distracted, but standing at the post with eyes open. Revelation does not come to those who wait passively. It comes to those who position themselves. This distinction will change the way you live your days from now on, because there is a radical difference between waiting and watching. Waiting is passive. It is sitting and hoping that something happens. Watching is active. It is training your perception to capture what is already happening around you, but which inattentional blindness is filtering out. Let me give you a concrete example, because I know that at this moment you might be thinking, this is beautiful, but how does it work in practice? Think about the last 2 weeks of your life. Was there any conversation that marked you more than it should have? Did someone say a phrase that kept reverberating in your head without you understanding why? Did you open a book, a video, a message, and something there seemed to have been written for you. Did you wake up in the middle of the night with an idea, a restlessness, a sudden clarity that by morning already seemed absurd? These are not accidents. They are burning bushes. They are burning on the side of your road. And the question is not whether Kairos is present in your life. The question is whether you will turn aside to see, or if you will continue on automatic counting the balls while the gorilla passes by your side. The second story I need to tell you amplifies this in a powerful way. Anna in the biblical account was a woman in deep suffering, sterile in a culture where motherhood defined a woman's value, humiliated by her husband's other wife, misunderstood by the priest himself. When she prayed in the temple, Eli thought she was drunk. Everything around Anna signaled that nothing was going to change. There was no external sign that something was about to happen. Zero. The context was one of absolute stagnation. And what did Anna do? The Hebrew text says she prayed in her heart. Only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. The word used to describe her prayer is hitpalela, a reflexive form of the verb palal. This is crucial. The reflexive form indicates that the action returns upon the subject. Anna was not just asking God for something. She was restructuring herself internally in the act of prayer. Prayer was not just communication, it was internal transformation. And it was silent, invisible to those looking from the outside. Eli did not understand. The people around did not see. No external sign indicated that there, in that silent moment, Kairos was happening. Researchers from Yale published studies on what they call implicit transformative processing, cognitive restructuring processes that happen below the threshold of explicit consciousness. They demonstrated that the most profound changes in a person's life orientation are frequently not preceded by dramatic external events. They happen internally, in silence, during periods that from the outside look like stagnation. What neuroscience is documenting is exactly what Anna lived. The most significant transformation of her life happened in a moment that to any external observer seemed to be nothing. You may be living your Anna moment now, a period that from the outside seems still, that the people around interpret as stagnation, as lack of progress, as failure. But inside, in that space where the voice is not heard, where the lips move but the sound does not come out, something is restructuring itself with a depth that the noise of the world does not allow one to perceive. Now I need to connect the three stories because together they form a map. Moises shows you that Kairos arrives disguised as an ordinary day. That revelation does not announce a date, does not send notice, does not wait for you to be prepared on your terms. It appears as fire in a bush in the middle of the routine and only reveals itself to those who turn aside from the automatic. Anna shows you that the most real transformation is silent, that it happens in the leves, the Hebrew word for heart, which in Hebrew thought is not the seat of emotion, but the seat of deep perception, of understanding, of will. Lev is the operational center of the being, and it is in the Lev that true change is processed, far from eyes, far from judgment, far from the need for approval. And the connection between the two stories reveals the third truth, which is the most important of all. The preparation for Kairos is not an external act. It is not a fast of so many days. It is not a specific ritual. It is not positioning oneself in a certain way. Preparation is cultivating the capacity to perceive what is already happening. It is training tsafa, active vigilance, the attention of a sentinel. It is standing at the post while the whole world is lying down waiting. Comment now the word presenza here below. This word is your declaration of tsafa. It is you saying, I am standing, I am attentive, I am at the post, I am not waiting for a spectacular sign, I am ready to recognize the sacred in the ordinary. When you write presenza, you are communicating to your own internal system that the passive waiting is over. I need to be absolutely transparent with you about what this means in practice, because it would be dishonest of me to leave you with the impression that simply having this intellectual understanding changes everything. It does not. Understanding is the first step. The second is the hardest. It is acting without the confirmation you want. This is the point where most people get stuck, because the wait for spectacular signs is at its root a sophisticated form of fear. You are not really waiting for a sign. You are waiting for a guarantee. You want certainty before acting. You want the universe, God, life, and someone to tell you with 100% clarity that it will work out before you take the first step. But Kairos does not offer a guarantee. Kairos offers opportunity, and opportunity, by definition, includes risk. Moises did not know what was going to happen when he turned aside to see the bush. Anna had no guarantee that her silent prayer would be answered. Both acted from something that was not certainty. It was discernment. And discernment is different from certainty. Certainty is the absence of doubt. Discernment is the capacity to act in the presence of doubt, guided by an internal perception that does not need external validation to be legitimate. The Greek word epiphania appears in the texts of the New Testament to describe the manifestation of the divine in the concrete world. Epiphania comes from epi, over, and phainein, to shine, to make visible. It is when something that was always present becomes visible, not because it appeared out of nowhere, but because the eyes finally opened. Researchers from Endeavor, Brazil, in partnership with international behavioral research institutions, documented that entrepreneurs who carried out the most significant changes in their careers described the decisive moment not as the day the opportunity appeared, but as the day they finally saw it. The opportunity, in many cases, had already existed for months, sometimes years. What changed was not the world, it was the eyes. This is the mechanism of epiphania. What changes is not reality, it is perception. And when perception changes, the entire reality reorganizes itself around the new vision, not because the universe obeys your thought, but because when you see clearly, you act with precision. And when you act with precision, the results are different. So here is the most practical exercise I can give you, and I want you to do this in the next 24 hours. Choose 1 hour of your day, it can be any hour, and for 60 minutes, practice tzafah, active vigilance. Pay deliberate attention to everything that happens around you. Conversations, sensations in the body, ideas that arise, coincidences, phrases you hear. Do not judge anything. Do not classify anything as important or irrelevant. Just observe with the attention of a sentinel, and at the end of that hour, sit down and ask yourself, what did I see that I normally would not see? If you do this with honesty, you will be startled, because the burning bushes are everywhere. The Kairos is pulsing within your routine. The epiphania is one turn aside away. You do not need a sign in the heavens. You need eyes that see what heaven has already placed on the ground of your days. If you know someone who is stuck in life waiting for a confirmation that never arrives, waiting for the perfect moment that does not exist, share this video with that person now. Sometimes the bush that someone needs to see is a message you decide to send. In the next video, I will reveal what happens when you finally recognize the Kairosis, and how the first movements after that recognition determine whether the window opens wide or closes. This content is a direct continuation of what I spoke about today, and if you do not watch it, you will be left with half the map. Activate the bell. I will see you in the next one.
Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life, a guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming, with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you and strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10,000 readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who were tired of living in the fog, ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.